Great, thank you. Yeah, great to see the chat. And where are you guys coming from? That's amazing. So, well, yeah, we are here today hosting this session. Myself, I'm Javier Gras, and Ella Wiles, which I have her right here in the room. I'm the relationships and impact lead of the bioleadership project, helping grow the movement and increase our impact in the world. And Ella, you can say also about yourself a little bit.
Hey folks, it's really lovely to see some familiar faces and some new faces. Me and Javi, you might see us look like this. We've got different versions of wood behind us. We're in the same space. I've been with bioleadership now for about 3.5 years. And I've been, this is a call about the fellowship and how it can be useful. I kind of was in and supporting and designing and producing the fellowship program from the beginning in the pandemic. And I'll be sharing a little bit more in this call about what it is, what you can expect, who it's for, how we can help. So I'll share a little bit more about that in the call, but if you're curious some more, I'll be the one to kind of talk to you further about it. So yeah, lovely to have you here, and thanks for joining us.
And also we have in the room Charlotte Sewell. It's an authentic pleasure to have you here today, Charlotte. She's a fellow from the Bioleadership Project and an L&D specialist that really understands well the needs of individuals, organizations for professional development, and will be also helping us share her experience. How does it feel to be in the fellowship? How does it feel really to bring those professional development in practice? So hello, Charlotte, you can say hi and present yourself also. Welcome.
Thanks, Javi. Hey, yeah, lovely to be in the virtual room with you. I'm a few miles away from Javi and Ella right now, currently enjoying a day working on the south coast of England. And yeah, I'm Charlotte Sewell, and I was lucky enough to do the Bioleadership Fellowship this year. So I finished it in November. Can I just check? Can you hear me? I'm wearing a scarf. Is it interfering with the mic? No, good. Yeah, so I just completed it in November, and I feel really lucky to get the chance to just explain a little bit about how it was for me. Yeah, so I'll share a bit more later. And really nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces.
Great, thank you so much, Charlotte. So yeah, before starting and going into sharing a little bit of more of that and all the things that we're doing, I think it would be really good to hear a little bit from you. So if you want, you guys can share your name, share what led you here today to this session. No, why are you here and what interests you? And maybe we can have a minute or two, whatever it feels, to get to create a little sense of who are we, of the people that are in the session, and to know each of us a little bit more, so we can frame better our intentions for today. So I'm leave it open. Whoever wants to start, that would be lovely to hear. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Javi. So yeah, just a little intro, who you are and what led you to the call today.
I'm happy to jump in. Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah, good, great. Hi everyone. Nice intimate group. I was actually kind of jumped into the call a bit earlier today as well, because I wasn't really sure actually which one would be more applicable for me. So, and just trying to do some obviously kind of finish some work during the day as well. I suppose, for disclosure, I work for Triodos Bank, and I kind of actually have been exchanging a couple of messages with Javi and Andres over the last sort of few months, and actually Ella, we were sort of in touch many years ago, I think, when it was all sort of kicking off. So I suppose I'm here with two hats on. One is to consider, how Triodos could be involved in the fellowship, and actually kind of where we could support and add some value in terms of kind of a case study with how we work in terms of leadership, but also really to understand, then with a sort of semi L&D hat on, an organizational development hat on, whether the fellowship would be suitable for sort of some of our co-workers, So to get a good sense of like, how the fellowship's been working and what some of the experiences of fellows have come through. Is clearly an initiative which is really in our space. So really interested to hear some stories from that perspective. So thank you.
Awesome, Simon. Really lovely to see you again and put a face to an email. And thanks for joining us. Matt, welcome. We're just doing a little hello of name, location, what led you here. Simon's the only one to go so far, so settle in, and lovely to have your voice in the mix when you land.
Hey everyone, I'm Jill. So I have recently transitioned from running my own company for many, many years to going and working for a larger organization. And I think as part of that transition, I don't want to lose my kind of voice and just kind of toe the corporate line. Not that it's corporate that I've joined, but yeah, I think, finding intentional communities is so important to the work that we do, and knowing a few people who have been through the process and kind of just hearing them speak about it, I think is kind of the greatest testament to the work that obviously happens during the year-long fellowship. So for me, I guess it's about both the kind of the year, but more importantly, it's like joining that larger community of practice, which draws me to the program. Yeah.
Thanks, Jill. Great to have you.
Hey, my name's Sam. I work for a company called Future Planet. You might have met or been to any of the events that we've run before, as well. Ella, I know that I've met you through there, and Andres as well. So we're a membership organisation of people that work in sustainability, and I help to support people with what they need. I'm arriving at this with curiosity. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we do is quite digital. A lot of my day-to-day is, so I'd be interested to see how it might be possible to integrate nature-based practices into working practices as well. Sorry. So that's where I'm coming into.
Thanks, Sam. Good question as well. Want to come back to you.
I think I can go, and maybe I can answer you one of your curiosities, Sam, already. Because can you see me? Yes, because I can't see everybody. I see only the speaker, although I changed. I know something with my Zoom. So my name is Adrian. I'm speaking from São Paulo, Brazil. I had the privilege to participate in an online experience with Ella and other folks from the bioleadership project last month, actually, no, Ella. And what brings me here is that that experience was very touching, very profound, and a loving experience. And Sam, it's possible to online get in touch with nature and address key points from thinking in organizations, thinking in schools, thinking in communities. How can we bring this view and contribute to a different kind of leadership? And when I say leadership, I'm not saying only people in formal power positions, but everyone and each one being a leadership attitude towards making actions that nurture life. So I'm here because after 22 years in a consulting with organizational development, leadership, culture, I left the company that I contribute from the first day to do my own consulting company, and And one of the reasons is because I want to lead in this direction of bringing this awareness of life in the work I do with organizations. That's why I'm here.
Thanks, Adrian. Lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you too.
I'll just say a quick welcome to Elise, who's just joined, and we're just going around and people are sharing a little bit of what led them to this call. I think we are yet to hear from Matt, from Chris, and from you, Elise. So maybe you can go last when you've heard a few more people, when you've landed.
So yeah, lots of things I could say. So I work with a College of Art in a place called the Burren in the west of Ireland, which is an incredibly beautiful natural location, has a globally unique ecology, loads of really, so it's a limestone ecology, loads of really interesting nature things going on, loads of really interesting nature projects. So we've had some really innovative farming projects, ecotourism, place-based learning, as well as the College of Art. Yeah, there's a lot of special stuff around in the area. We have done some leadership work along the way as well. So we've hosted executive leadership retreats with David White, the poet that some people probably know, and we also work with a guy called Martin Hayes, who's probably the best Irish fiddle player in the world. So you know, kind of when you've got the right people kind of around you and the right nature around you, good things happen. And we're in a process of rethinking and reimagining the future of the college and what it does in the world, and very much facing the kind of big challenges. For the last few years, we've been doing a lot of work around the education system in Ireland, and I'll try and be brief, but I mean, through our efforts, we've got a Citizens' Assembly on the Future of Education happening late next year, which is very much about how the education system needs to shift to be fit for the future. And we're also currently doing some work on behalf of the OECD on the kind of gap between ordinary school life and policy development processes, but all with a lot of kind of sustainability stuff in the background. And the other thing that feels particularly relevant is that I co-lead a program called Courageous Coaching, where we're helping coaches to adapt their work in the context of climate and biodiversity crisis. So that's kind of tied in with a thing called the Climate Coaching Alliance, and basically trying to leverage the coaching profession into the challenges. I'm also involved actually with people in Sweden around the inner development goals that some people may have come across as well. So I'm part of that kind of outfit. So yeah, lots of connections and just curious, nosy. Yeah, good way to finish the day. Thank you.
Brilliant, Chris. Lovely to have you, and yeah, happy end of day too.
Hey, I'm Matt Hocking, based in Cornwall, so another splendid part of the UK. Surrounded by nature most days. My work and practice is all around sort of creativity and change, kind of how creativity is a nexus point between society, industry, and the planet, and how we can best use those change-making tools as an enabler. I've got various hats and roles, so I won't go into those now. But for me, I guess I'm at a stage, I've been running my agency for this our 19th year. It's always been the way we've always designed in a planet first way since we founded in 2004 for people in society. We're a B Corp, our first B Corp design agency in the UK. And I'm sort of in my what next phase. The business is kind of self-leading itself to a certain degree now. It's time to let go. Where am I best served to make the greatest difference with the things and the opportunities that come into my life? And I kind of use the analogy of like what washes up on my shore. So there's a constant flow of pretty good things. It's not like plastic crap washing up on my shore. It's good nature stuff and things. And it's kind of like, actually, how can I best support it, or how can it best support me? So I guess I'm on a what is my leadership journey space at the moment. So that's that's me succinctly.
Amazing question. Thanks, Matt.
Ella, I'm just saying we also have Vero join us.
Yeah, nice. Vero, hey, gorgeous to see a familiar face. Vero, I wonder if you just want to kind of introduce your name, where you're from, and maybe just a little bit of who you are in this community. We'd love to just kind of place you. We've heard from everyone else so far.
Thank you. Hello all. I am Veronica. I'm from Brazil. I am living in São Paulo, and I joined to the first cohort of the bioleadership. And I've been working with HR, focus on organizational and people development. And I am doing that my last 20 years. And when I started the journey with the bioleadership, I had a goal and discover how to develop the leaders from the organization that I was representing at the time. And how can I bring them these concepts around nature? And what's happening was, yes, I had some tools to do that in my own job, but the shifts that happened in my own life was bigger than I was planning. Only to do something from my work, and it was a journey. It has been a journey because I am trying to redefining myself and my career future using these whole principles about the bioleadership. So what I can say for you is bio is about integrality. You cannot do something only looking for your job because you are only one person, and everything is integrated. And the other thing that for me was very important, it was to be a part of a global community to learn with everybody around the challenge that we are facing around the world and different business and activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you so much. So great to see you. Yeah, well, so I'm gonna share now my screen. Thank you everyone for sharing. I think that was really good to have our heads aligned. I'm gonna share with you my screen just to show the agenda for today, so you have a little bit a better sense, no, of what are we gonna be sharing with you. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, can you see? Perfect, great. Yeah, as you guys said, as we have said, no, this is a movement. This is a global movement, and we are trying to transform leadership with nature, no. And as we have said at the beginning, we are in the room hosting you guys and trying to explain a little bit more of the fellowship. Ella Wiles, myself, and we have Charlotte, who will be sharing her experience too. The agenda for today was this little part of welcome, to get to know each other a little bit. And then I'm gonna do a brief introduction of the bioleadership project and why we are here today in this session, no? So we can express it and share better. And then Charlotte will share her story, her experience in the program. And then we will go with Ella and myself, giving a little bit more of detailed information around the course. And we will have also space for questions and answers. So I hope it feels good. Yes, and yeah, as I was saying, no, to frame a little bit, I would like to share what the bioleadership project is, first of all, no, and a little bit of our mission, which is to change the story of leadership by working with nature. And we are doing this through 3 different workforces. One is the consultancy, the other one is the bioleadership fellowship, which is the 9-month online program that we are presenting here today. And then there is the innovation lab, which is a space where projects are emerging from the community, and a lot of relationships are happening between organizations, between projects, no, and projects are growing and emerging. We always say that change can't be brought by someone alone or an organization alone. So we create these spaces, no, to share knowledge in the fellowship. No, it's around connecting the community, connecting different workforces, thoughts, learnings, and connect projects that are growing a new generation of human systems and leadership that care for our world. So today we want to explain you what the Bioleadership Fellowship is. That's the objective of the session, bringing you tangible examples like the one that Charlotte is going to share today, in order to give a clear idea of how this program can support you and how can you support your professional development, and more precisely, the professional development of your organization. Ella, also, if you want to add anything else to this little brief introduction, please go ahead. Yeah, everything good? Perfect. Yeah, that's what I thought. Awesome. So I think the best way to start this is, yeah, listening to Charlotte and hearing from her direct experience, no? And then we will share what is a little bit more with Ella. What's the fellowship? Charlotte, do you want to take over?
Thanks so much, Javi. That's lush. And Ella, in a moment, I'll ask you to share my slides before. Lovely just to see you all. Thanks so much for coming along and just for sharing where you're at and what you're bringing to this call. The bit I'm really looking forward to is the kind of lovely space we have for questions and exploration at the end of this session. So there's lots of room for you to sort of bring any inquiries that are bubbling up for you. And then, yeah, I'll just kick off by giving a flavour of my own personal experience of doing the Bioleadership Fellowship. So it's a 9-month programme, and so far there's been 2 cohorts. So Vero, I feel like I know you, even though we've never been in the same air, but Vero was in the first cohort, and I've been in the most recent one this year that finished in November. And so, yeah, I'll just give you a little whistle-stop tour of my experience with the programme using 4 slides. So I'll try and keep it brief. But yeah, I guess, where was I when I started to get involved with the Bioleadership Fellowship? I was in the midst of a really busy working period, probably one of the busiest in my professional life. I work freelance at the moment. I am usually involved in 6 to 8 projects at any one time. I'd had a real whirlwind, an excellent sort of roller coaster of a 2021. And I remember finding myself about this time of year thinking, this can't really go on much longer. I've been working many, many hours of every week. Don't think I've got much energy left. And something was calling me to, you've got to do something intentional to do 2022 differently and to start thinking about the next chunk of time in your working life. I guess I was also aware of a kind of potential shift. So I was in a lucky position of having lots of opportunities come to me, but I was really thinking about, how do I focus my energy? How do I do the work that's most meaningful, that's most high impact? And how do I do that in a way that's sustainable for me? I work in the climate change space. I work typically with large business networks. I work in a lot of corporate environments. I work in a lot of fast-paced cultures, and that can be quite a lot for bandwidth. I'm also someone who is aware of the urgency of a lot of the issues at hand, and I'm really sort of constantly aware of this tension between wanting to do lots and speed up and be busy, and knowing that also I need to listen in order to do my best work. So that's where I was this time last year, and I was thinking, can't keep up this pace, and really don't want to get to a point where I end up falling over because I'm just exhausting myself or doing too much or not working sustainably. And then I found myself on a sofa in my flat thinking, maybe if I've just got half an hour, I could fill in that application form and just see if that program's the thing I'm supposed to be doing next year. So I vividly remember writing my little application to the Bioleadership program on a wintry afternoon at the end of a very busy day, thinking, can I squeeze in one more task? That's where I was when I found the program. On the next slide, I guess for me, my experience was that I was entering into this program. I was entering into the unknown. I was signed up for 9 months. I I sponsored my own placement on the program. So I worked for myself and I thought I'd better have an L&D budget. I used to run L&D for a large organization, managed the learning and development of 1,200 people on 92 sites. Come on, Charlotte, you've got to walk your talk and actually invest in your own development. So this was a really nice opportunity for me to do that and to try and to balance that busy desk that you're seeing on the left-hand side. I'm afraid that's an accurate picture of my desk sometimes. Very busy, lots going on, with this need for space and breath. So what was my experience of doing the program? Well, it was also a bit of a mixture of these two images. So I had the experience of joining this program in spring of this year. I was very busy. I ran a lot of events online. I spent a lot of time on my laptop. And, I was joining a program that was global. And so a lot of my way of accessing it was through my laptop. What that mainly looked like was me finding a chunk of hours to sit on a sofa with a cup of tea and put my feet up and enjoy being a participant. That's the main feeling I remember. I remember finding windows of peace. I also remember finding myself on grids of amazing smiling faces and warm people like Vero, like Javi, like Ella, who kind of brought a gentleness and a warmth into what were quite scattergun days. But the main thing I remember is that in doing the program, partly because it was sort of the homework of the course, and partly because it was the whole spirit of the way people in the course seemed to show up, was finding more and more ways to find pockets of daylight, pockets of fresh air, and encouraging myself to get out in the outdoors in the middle of a working day, to have mini moments to go on a walk. So this is a photo of a little patch of trees that runs down the back of my flat in the city where I live. And a place that I've come to spend much more time in since doing the course, because it's kind of forced me to remember that that's right there and I need to get out in it. And then I'll just describe on the next slide a little bit of the other stuff that the bioleadership program has brought me. So you see a couple of pictures here. The bottom left is just a sample of one of the many juicy frameworks I got exposed to in a 9-month whirlwind of big ideas, brainy people, and amazing speakers. I'm a facilitator myself. I run L&D, so I've been on amazing workshops, but I have had some of the best training ever on the bioleadership program. I've heard from people in places and spaces I'd never got windows into. That's definitely something I'm taking away. Juicy frameworks and models, brilliant stories. I remember shutting my laptop and running into the kitchen and saying to my partner, oh my goodness, I've just had the best storyteller ever. I've had the best workshop and it was all online. Some real moments of just little snapshots into brilliant people. What you also see is a photo of me on my laptop, which is outside my flat on the kind of staircase, trying to do outdoor meditation exercises called Qigong with a friend who I met on the bioleadership program. And now we meet every Tuesday morning for 20 minutes and just take a moment to breathe together. So that's something that's brought me a little connection, a little intention, someone to do that with. Below that photo, you can see people gathered in a circle. This was me in the woods a few hours from London, spending some time in person, people from bioleadership, which is wicked. On the top left, you see a group of people in very North Scotland, featuring Ella on the right-hand side. And through the bioleadership network, I was lucky enough to go on a 6-day retreat in Scotland in September, which was probably the best retreat I've ever been on. That was with the bioleadership project. Another photo there of a tent. That gives you a flavour of the sort of nice time out you get in those retreats. The intention to spend time alone as a leader is a big part of the bioleadership program, and spending time in nature as a leader, creating moments to reflect. That is the biggest lesson the bioleadership program has given me and the best gift. And also on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see some delicious food. This is food from a gathering that I went to, some of the bioleadership people, and I have it there because what I've mainly got from the bioleadership fellowship experience was a shed load of nourishment, like literally yummy food in metaphorical and accurate descriptions. Really, really good nourishment at times when I needed it, when my resources were running low. So yeah, that's a little kind of snapshot into my experience. If you're joining late, picture of some frameworks, some big ideas, faces of people I learned from around the world, exercise, time out, a buddyship, people to meet online to make me reflect, to top up my thinking, to stretch my ideas, and then some real moments out of the working day and the week, and really an invitation to block out time in my diary to spend alone, to unplug and to be in nature more. So that's my little snapshot. If you were going to sum up my 9-month course in a few photos, they would be some of the photos that might help you tell the story. And just to summarize on the final slide, I guess I told you where I was when I started the course. So coming out of a busy year, about to grow my business, on the edge of making some really big decisions about where to spend my time, and feeling nervous about getting burnt out. Where am I now? Well, you know, for me, the program, it doesn't really feel like it's finished. We kind of wrapped it up in November, but it still feels very alive in me. And the relationships that I've nurtured, the people that I'm now in contact with, the people who I test ideas with, very much alive and still running. So it's hard to look back because the program literally feels like it was right here. But if I were to look back across the year, I guess it's given me, it's encouraged me to spend more time outdoors, which, surprise, surprise, has left me feeling a bit more grounded. It has given me a bundle of new thinking, ideas, frameworks, mainly perspectives. I think I thought, oh, I'm part of quite a lot of communities, or I've got quite a lot of international friends. But whoa, the bioleadership community like dazzled me with the range of perspectives I had previously been unaware of. So that's the real gift to me. And then it's given me some brand new friends and critical friends and people to test ideas with and to rest with and to kind of experiment and play with, but also to really challenge me, like really flipping hold me to account or ask me big questions or make me think in whole new ways that I'd never thought in before. Definitely given me new collaborators. I'm literally right now in the house of somebody I met through the bioleadership program who I'm working on a big professional project with. And it's just given me new tactics for how to kind of recharge in my day-to-day life. That's me.
I just wanted to, I've got some slides to share, but I just wanted to come back to the screen with us all on, just to, Charlotte, so I could send a big smile to you, because it's so lovely to hear your story. And folks, usually we do these calls and we don't have a fellow to kind of share their perspective. So usually it's a bit drier and saying, this is what the fellowship is, this is why we do it. But I've just been sitting here, my jaw is almost a bit achy with a smile, because it's just so nice to hear that. Yeah, I mean, and folks, maybe whilst I'm here, I'd love to share a bit more on the program. What can you expect? You know, who's it for? Why are we doing it? And then we'll go into some questions, Q&As after that. So kind of hold tight to all your questions, or feel free to use the chat whilst I talk. I think it's really important to start right from the beginning of, you know, why the fellowship program has been created. And this really centers on a lot of the work that we're doing at bioleadership, which is, we think, you know, Javi touched on this, we think inherently the story of human progress is completely broken. And where can we learn a new way of being? Where can we learn a new way of leading or following? So the fellowship, in a sense, is our response to that. It's you know, it's in its heart, it's I'll share some slides whilst I talk, but in its heart, it's a 9-month leadership program that's really focused on these 3 different threads. So it's saying that actually we need more than just kind of knowledge and structures and case studies. We need to lead by a new way of being, a new way of feeling, much more of an embodied leadership. As Charlotte touched on, you know, a community that's connected, new forms of practice, new forms of collaboration. So thinking wise, you know, we invite organizations in to share their stories. We've got Patagonia who come in and share their stories. Guayaki, an amazing regenerative organization based in Chile, coming in to kind of share about the work that they're doing and how they're trying to be regenerative. We've got artists, storytellers coming in, people that are trying to make Venice not sink below sea level. You know, we're kind of bringing folks across the world to share stories of regenerative practice that's already happening in the world. So this is from the perspective of, this is where I've got to, these are my learnings. So that's the kind of thinking level. The being level is very much focused on, kind of in this next slide, almost showing you the arc of the program. So the being level is about, how do we embody this? You know, we work with ideas of regenerative practice or how to manifest. We work with the unknown and how that feels in our bodies, what our limiting beliefs are, what our narratives are. You know, in the fellowship, it's quite hard to take the personal away from the professional. And we, you know, I think it came through in Charlotte's tapestry of beautiful photos of how we really welcome an inner work through this process. And then the third thread that goes through it all, which is around community and peer-to-peer work. I'll share a bit more on the structure of that, but what you're seeing here in this U is from preparation. So the fellowship next year starts in February the 16th, and it will end as, you know, kind of, I'll use italics on that. It will end because, you know, this is very much an invite to be part of a continuous community, like I think Charlotte is kind of testament to. And to really move as a community, to be mobilized as a community for change across the world. That's at the core, our intention for running this program. So what you're seeing here is kind of preparation, late Jan, February next year, through to the integration, which is in October. We're going to be running the fellowship number 3, a 9-month program. And we're going to have each one of these numbers, so starting with the unknown, as a kind of touch point to work with. You know, so we look at our current mindset, we look at our current system and our current approach. We look at different models that can help us in different organizations that are trying to chart a different path. We work with this sense throughout the fellowship of reconnection to ourselves, to the vital systems that we're part of. Systems theory and system change is an inherent theory that's part of the program. And we really try and distill that so we can bring that into our work. Through to kind of number 4 and regeneration. So we'll kind of be in sessions themed around that, probably kind of late spring, early summer next year, which is, we're starting to get into how can we make this, how can we bring to life the inquiries that we have. You know, I heard at the beginning of this call when we were checking in, Chris, you're thinking about education systems. Jill, you're looking at finding international communities and what you know, kind of how you can be part of that and how it can strengthen you. Sam, you're starting to think about integrating nature practice. You know, those inquiries that we're sitting with and we come into the fellowship with, we start to work with through this kind of regeneration and manifesting up curve. So a good third, if not 2/3 of the program is around how do we make this stuff happen in practice? How can we learn together? Integrity mixed with power, mixed with, you know, kind of we're legacy. We're really looking at making change last. How do we do that? How do we create regenerative shifts? And then integration, you know, and that cycle isn't just one, it's a muscle and a practice that we learn, and the fellowship is a place to kind of practice that. I really love, I'm quite dyslexic, and the kind of the idea of scaffolding I find a really helpful crutch. You know, I would class the fellowship as a scaffold on which to practice, on which to make a jump or prototype a shift. You're doing it with a bunch of other practitioners whose common thread is, I want to make a positive shift in the world. You know, how do I do it? What stories can inspire me? Who else is out there doing the same? I think the words of Bethany Kobe say it so well. Bethany is a fellow from our first year. The fellowship is a mature learning space where you can live life as an inquiry that's self-directed, with a diversity of content and embodied practices. I really like this quote because it kind of says, you know, it's what it says on the tin, basically. It's the fellowship is very much a space for people who kind of want to work actively to make a shift in the world, and it's that scaffold to try and support them. What it is and kind of what it feels like is kind of answered a bit by this slide, and I think we can come back to this slide in the Q&A because there's quite a lot of information here. But to give you a sense, what you'll experience in the fellowship is 9 months of a 9-month arc, as I've said, from February to October next year, where there'll be a series of core sessions based around these 3 threads, you know, of breakthrough thinking, of lived practice, of community work. There'll be moments where you'll be supported in a peer-to-peer space. So you'll be in what we call quite affectionately a home circle, which will be about 7 to 8 people that you'll effectively go through this journey with. They're facilitated moments that really can help you try and spot, create shifts, sense make the content that we're taking in as a community, be held accountable, play back some of your learnings. We've got some amazing facilitators, and you'll be designated one as a home group or home circle host. And that will be with a bunch of other fellows as well, 7 or 8 fellows. So you've got that as the kind of core program, and then you've got this beautiful interweaving of special topics where the community extends. So then you're going to meet Charlotte again, our fellow from 2022. You're going to meet Veronica, who's our fellow from 2021. You know, you're going to be joining the 3rd cohort of I've mentioned, but there's these moments where the community is intimate and it expands. So special topics are basically when we get excited and we think, God, we've got to bring them in and have them as a speaker. There'll probably be about 6 or 7 of those over the course of the arc. You know, last year we had Beoa Komalafe speak all about slowing down. It was so inspiring, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the session that Charlotte's referred to, that, you know, she had to stop the press and tell her partner about. You know, we've got Indigenous leaders coming in and telling us about the shifts that they're making. It's, you know, the work that Patagonia are doing, and, you know, and the learnings that they're sharing with us is really inspiring stuff. So sense making of that with a wider community. And then there's these innovation and lab spaces. Whilst the home circles are intimate, they're vulnerable, they're allowing you to kind of really reflect on what's going on for you. The lab spaces are perhaps a slightly higher gear. You know, how do we collaborate differently? How can we share some of the projects that we're working on? And how can we get feedback as a community so we're not isolated? And then finally, there's kind of, you know, outside of the fellowship, which is an online program. It is all online, and we support offline practice as much as possible. One way we do that is make a selection of nature-based retreats slightly cheaper for fellows to attend. There's this beautiful flow in the fellowship of providing content, community, stories online, and giving practice, reflection, inquiry, and journal that you can take offline. But as Charlotte has shared, you know, you're kind of given these different circles and forms of family in which to develop that practice. And in a sense, it's kind of learning a new practice and a new way of leading over the course of the 9 months. Vera, you'll probably smile because I've got your picture on the screen and I've got your quote on the screen. But I want to give you a sense of kind of the shifts that people have experienced, and maybe, you know, who's joined. We've got Hannah here in your bottom left-hand corner. She used to work for an organization that tried to make organizations less impact, you know, kind of less bad, basically. But she talks about this idea of she was fed up of hospicing the old system. I can imagine some of you on the call might relate to that. She's saying the fellowships helped her understand a new way of supporting organizations truly shift towards regenerative practice. Her journey in the fellowship was really beautiful because she left her organization 2050 just as she joined the fellowship, and she's now founder of a new organization called Teal Co, which is inspired by the work of Frederick Laloux and kind of Teal organizations, which we'll touch on. And Veronica, you can probably say it so much better than me, but, you know, it's helped you ask provocative questions, you know, and I just think that is such a beautiful thing. So the invite to folks joining the fellowship, I've been talking a lot, so maybe the most point for me to end on is the invite for anyone joining the fellowship, and who we're really looking for is folks that need community, are desiring inspiration, are desiring those new stories, need some kind of scaffold to help them do it, you know. But what the invite really explicitly is an invite to be super active and really proactive over that 9-month process. You can see with Hannah and Veronica here that, you know, both of them have made shifts, and even in a small way, that's something we really want to invite you in and celebrate. Yeah, okay, I'm getting excited. I've been talking a lot. Maybe over to Javi for this slide here.
Yes, thank you, Ella. No, that was brilliant. Yeah, I think you explained so well. And this connects to the part, to this other part of the session that we want to really connect and share with you, and it's around how can we bring these organizations, the organizations you are working in, into this. I was working, when I joined the fellowship in the first cohort, I was working in ferrovial construction, really big organization. And I was realizing how good it could be for the organization if I was joining this fellowship, no? And how could it actually support my professional development, but also how could I bring all of these things into the organization itself, no? Around the changes that I wanted to do with them, no? I wanted to improve how we work, how we were designing structures, highways, no? There were a lot of things that I wanted to do in the organization, and having the fellowship, if I would have joined with them, no, at the end I did it myself. I just joined because they were not in that position, no, to actually open and really want to make those saves and support me in that way. But I felt how important and how good it could be for organizations that are really wanting to support that really feel that this is needed for them to continue growing and improving how they are working. So we really feel there is a very good opportunity, for organizations to bring someone from the company, an employee, and bring them with a challenge, with a project, with an inquiry that the company has, some challenge that they are trying to work in the organization, and bring that employee in the fellowship to run through the project, and that way we can help create that bridge between the person and the organization, and bring all of those professional developments, tools, frames, stories, connections with other organizations, bring that into them, so this is why we are offering also in this fellowship, that you can join as an individual, but you can join actually as an organization with them, bringing that project, and what we are trying to provide is, as Ella has been sharing, it's trying to bring this positive change in the organization, and to do that we are proposing, when the organization is joining and we are creating the relationships. For example, Aviva Investors, they are doing this already in the last year. They brought Jess Fowles with them, and they were sponsoring her to join in the fellowship. It has created so much changes into their teams, and what we propose is to have also these extra 3 sessions over the fellowship, over those 9 months, 1.5 hour sessions with the fellow, with the employee, with their boss, or with a colleague in the organization, to help them bridge that knowledge and that learning experience, and help them frame the project, or help them create that change that they are trying to create, or whatever they want to develop. So I think there is a really good opportunity to actually have like consultancy practice from the fellowship with Andres, with Ella, with myself, helping bridge those challenges from the organization and the personal development of the employee, and bridge that and connect it. So that's why we are also offering it, and the main reason why we bring these sessions, to help that bridge. So I think that's me from my side. Yes, thank you. And do you want to go? Go.
Nice. I mean, folks, we just wanted to leave as much space as possible. You can tell we get excited and have kept talking about it, but definitely it's time to pass the mic over to you all. I hope that gives you a bit of a flavor of the fellowship. There's going to be loads more time to connect with us and answer any questions, kind of one-on-one or in a further discovery call. But feel free to write any questions in the chat, but maybe just an open mic for the remaining 8 minutes of the call. I'm really happy to stay on as well. So if you'd like to stay on, I'm happy to stay on. Yeah.
Nice. And Ella, do you think people raise hand using the icon, or just unmute when they want to jump in?
I reckon, yeah, feel free to unmute folks if you like. We can do yeah, that would be great.
So any questions, anything we haven't covered, or that you'd love to get more of a flavor of? Any inquiries you're holding about what it would actually look or feel like? Yeah, Elise.
Hey everyone, I get to speak as well. It's a very practical question, actually. I was curious about how people who joined the first 2, I think, fellowships, where are they from? Where are they based? Is there any geographical kind of like sense of who is this community? And then also in terms of, I guess they're by their vocation, by their professional area, who are the people who seem to join so far to these gatherings? Thank you.
Elise, such a good question. To answer briefly, I mean, we've got 28 different nationalities, I think, last time I checked, taking part in the program. Ages from, I think, 18 to early 70s. It's kind of pretty age diverse, pretty diverse geographically. We're working extra hard next year, or for next year, to make that so. Finding funding, dropping borders, that kind of thing, trying to reach out to our blind spots. The type of people taking part, we've got, the common thread is wanting to work for life, wanting to do good in the world and being quizzical about how to do that and needing a community. We've got folks joining from, there's where to start. To give you a bit of an overview, we've got a founder from Inala, a mental health charity in South Africa, Sidika, joining us, who's looking at her strategy and how she can shift that. We've got an amazing designer, fellow Caroline, who is actually mentioned on the slides just there, who co-founder of Franklin Till, which is a design agency based in the UK. So they're curious about how to really center life in the middle of that, from the process of how they work, but also the clients, for the whole system of how they function. We've got Benjamin based in Thailand, is looking to shift and change the education system. Chris, a really good one to connect you there with, I think. He's looking at how to support adolescents and how to effectively create a fellowship for adolescents, before going to higher education. So there's a real diversity of people taking part. We've got farmers in Kenya, we've got doulas, we've got midwives. It's a really beautiful mix of people, as well as quite a lot of people from large organizations that are either wanting to leave or create an internal shift.
People in finance also, like Jess from Aviv Investors, in architecture, engineering, organizational development comes to my mind. We have this movement, it started in the fellowship, organizational development for life, L&D practitioners. Yeah, it's quite diverse.
Keen, any more questions? I know some people might have to go on the hour.
So just a quick one, I might have missed it in the slides, but how big is the cohort?
It will be about 40 next year joining us. Previous ones are about the same size.
If I can put on the spot, but maybe Charlotte or maybe Veronica or someone who joined the program before might want to respond to this. If you would take the program again, what would be like one thing that you would pay extra attention to, or you would, what would be that interesting area that you want to explore more or dig into because it excited you so much? Or how would you engage with the program one more time if you would?
I feel I'd soak it all up. I'll answer really quickly and I'll pass to Vero. For me, I wasn't very active in the program until about June or July. I had a really busy start of the year. I would log on to some sessions, I would miss a few, I would take some notes, and then I made a bit more space. And the minute I started to make space, meet people one-on-one for Zoom coffees, hang out wherever I could when we were crossing over geographically, that was when it came alive for me. So my big recommendation is for anyone, you can do it totally virtually. But if you can find pockets of time to properly make time for yourself to go alone in nature or to go deep in one-on-one in-person time. Vero, what would you say? Because the community is just amazing. Like every relationship I developed has been gold. And I just love to get to know even more of the amazing community.
For me, it's in the same line because I did the exercise in nature but because I live in a big city, it was very hard to connect with nature. So I decided to connect with my dog, with my own nature, and to be in silence, but to have this integration with nature. I am still trying to do this better, because when I am in the nature, I was like, oh my gosh, let me check my phone. I'm going to read some book. For me, it's still some challenge to do that.
Love it. Any more questions? And yeah, as Ella says, we'll stay on for 5 minutes or so afterwards, or a bit longer.
I do as well. Thank you, Charlotte. And yeah, really appreciate the presentation. It's really nice to kind of hear firsthand, you know, kind of the fellows' experience, and having kind of read the literature and had some conversations with bioleadership about it. I suppose my interest and curiosity is those special topics. Kind of firstly, kind of what stands out really, you know, for you both on special topics, and maybe also then for Ella and Javi, sort of what do you see has changed in terms of like what's been special topics, what is and what could be, yeah, to really inform the sort of the work really.
I'll give a super quick answer. Gosh, Simon, there's so much richness in terms of context and big ideas. Some of the special topics I really remember were around power dynamics, were around vulnerability, were around how we unlearn old ways of behavior. Another special topic that really resonated for me was around generational thinking about connection to ancestors. An amazing woman who works with Lush kind of really blew my mind in some great thinking around ancestry and our own lineage. What I really liked was how the course responded to what was happening in the news. So like there was, of course, a special topic when the war was beginning in Ukraine, and many people in the community wanted to talk about that. So there were kind of things would adjust, and I really liked that like things would be penciled in, and then also members of our course would say, oh, we haven't had much of this, could we have more of that? And then something would be adapted. But that's just my kind of rough memory.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear you share that, Charlotte, and Simon, great question. I mean, we want to continue in that vein. I think there's a sense of there will be special topics to be for us to respond to the world, and respond as well. You know, a lot of a good chunk of the program is in response to what's happening in the community and what's needed. As well as kind of planning it in advance. You know, we're already talking to some people like Ella Saltmarsh, you know, to do a piece on long time and kind of how do we work that within, you know, in your case, you know, how could Triodos work with long time rather than being, you know, in presenteeism all the time. So it looks like we're going to be doing one with Ella Saltmarsh next year. There's other folks like Culture Hack. I think we're probably going to do something around communications and activism and probably deepen that. But yeah, we're having that gorgeous moment at the moment of reaching out to people and going, oh my God, who are the shakers and movers in the world? And let's invite them in. So yeah, join and watch this space.
Thank you. Yeah. It sounds wonderful, and yeah, let's pick up the conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Folks, just an invite, if you do need to jump, I know we're at time, do feel free to go. As I said, I'm really happy to stay on for next kind of 5-10 minutes for anyone who would like to. Yeah.
I'm going to jump, so thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah, similarly, I was going to type it, but thank you very much, everyone. Yeah.
Thanks.
Nice to meet some of you. Cheers.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to jump as well. Thank you all for your sharing and those that have taken time to sort of be on and put this on tonight. I'm very interested. I'm pretty tired. My brains have been very quiet for me, as Charlotte will know. I've been out in the woods looking at a 40-acre regeneration program all of today. So, yeah, how a client has kind of, after 5 years, managed to track down 40 acres of land. It's part of the Commons, which I've been learning about the Commons today, and what they're going to do as a legacy piece through their business for the next couple of generations. So yeah, something for you and me to talk about as well, Charlotte. So thank you for your time, and yeah, really interested to find out a bit more.
Amazing, Matt. Thank you. Rest up.
Bye.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna pop off as well, but just wanted to extend my gratitude to everyone that shared. And yeah, I started off being curious, and now I'm curiouser as well. So yeah, really interested to see where it goes.
Thanks, Sam.
Stay warm, Sam.
Yeah,
All right, will do. Take care, everyone. Bye.
How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thank you. It's really good. It comes across really well, really professional. I'm not immediately convinced it's the course I personally need to be doing, but that might not be the kind of the way we connect. The thought I was just having was around, and I know this is kind of a dangerous thought, but was around changing the world. And so like doing a cohort of 40 people at a time, and I don't mean this in a critical way at all, and of course loads of other people are doing loads of other things, but yeah, that there's, you know this, that there's an urgency. There has to be some kind of concept of how it's going to go bigger and have more and ripple out and have more impact quicker. Because actually, you know, if you do 40 people for the next 3 years and a few other people do a few other things, not a lot will have shifted.
It's such a good,
yeah.
I'd love to respond to that, Chris. It's because it's such a good question, and it's one that we've really sat with, actually. You know, do we create a program that brings in hundreds in the cohort and we really maximize and expand it out, or do we work? Bye. Thank you for joining us. Or you know, you know, in one of the principles of nature that we're trying to work with is how do we optimize a community rather than maximize a process, and that's really kind of built into the program and how we want to run it. And we've actually even decided to have only 5 more cohorts run in the fellowship, with a sense of actually there's a way that we're looking for people who are really active, and we're looking for people that want to be part of this for, you know, a good chunk of their professional career, if not for life. And how can we support them? And I think there's that question of what are the resources, what's the training, how do we kind of create a space where they can really be empowered to act. But how the faculty is looking at it is it's not just those 40 people, it's their surrounding networks, it's their area of influence and their allies. So it's such a good point that you share, and it's also a question of how we do that really well as a learning program and as a leadership program, and I mean, ultimately community going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, in crisis we need to act differently is a bit of a kind of slogan of the fellowship. Yeah. Oh, Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of the day.
Nice one.
And you, Chris, amazing to hear about your work. I want to be in touch about the citizens' assemblies, but I'll try and find you on LinkedIn or something.
I believe, Charlotte, we might be on another call quite soon. I'm a colleague of Jackie Tom's as well. So
oh, amazing.
And so on. So yeah, that's the kind of world we live in.
Oh yeah, I think we might be talking about Boardroom 2030 together. Look forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much. And take care.